Hi, Linda. Uh, this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and this is your beautiful 201. And this is the final test before we pack her up to ship her out to you. And in this test, we're going to go over how to wind the bobbin, how to thread the machine, and how to work the various controls. We'll start by winding a bobbin. Your bobbin is in the bobbin race down here below the slide plate. And you don't need a bobbin case or anything. This one just drops right into the bobbin race. And it uses the Class 66 bobbins, which are rounded on the top and the bottom, slightly domed. And to wind the bobbin, put your spool on the spool pin, which is down here next to the bobbin winder tensioner. Go between the discs of the bobbin winder tensioner and put a few wraps of thread on your bobbin just to hold it in place while the bobbin winds. And then slip your bobbin onto the bobbin winder with the thread going on over the top of the bobbin from the front towards the back. And don't mind the rooster. If it gets too annoying, I'll chase him away. Press the bobbin winder towards the machine until the rubber tire comes into contact with the hand wheel. This finger will drop into the bobbin, and as your bobbin fills, it's going to push this finger up, 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 up until when the bobbin is full, it pops loose and stops winding so you don't get a mess of thread all over. Declutch your machine by turning the chrome knob in the center of the hand wheel towards you, an eighth of a turn or so until you feel it hit its stop. Then the wheel can spin and wind the bobbins without making the rest of the machine cycle. Actually, if you want to wind a bobbin while you're sewing, you can do that. Just don't declutch the machine and have it all set up, and then you can continue sewing while your bobbin winds. And when your bobbin is full, of course, it turns itself off. So give your machine a little gas and filling evenly side to side here. No reason to go real fast, just end up making a tangle. That should be plenty of thread for our test. Pop the finger up, the bobbin winder moves away from the hand wheel so it's no longer winding. Then with your thread coming off the top of the bobbin in this direction, drop your bobbin into the bobbin race and direct your thread into the little there's a little slot right here in the side of the bobbin race, and that is your lower thread tension. Just pull it in there until you'll feel a little tiny click as it clicks into place. Now you have a little bit of tension on your lower thread. To thread the machine, put your spool on the spool pin up on top, go into the thread guide at the top, between the discs of the tension assembly all the way around until you catch the little wire check spring here, and keep on pulling until your thread goes into the notch at the top here. Then when you pull on your thread, you'll see that little spring move up and down, and you'll know you've got it right. Go through the eye of the take-up lever from the right to the left to make sure that you haven't gotten tangled around something. For the take-up lever, go into the thread guide on the face plate, the thread guide just below the face plate, and the thread guide on the needle clamp. I always cut a fresh end before I try to thread the needle, because the little frayed ends push the thread away from the hole of the needle and make it a real pain. also helps if you get the needle up where you can see it. Make sure you haven't accidentally wrapped around something you shouldn't. Holding the needle thread loosely, turn the hand wheel towards you for one full revolution, and if you haven't reclutched after you wound your bobbin, make sure you tighten that chrome knob. Otherwise, when you turn your hand wheel, nothing happens. But holding that needle thread, turn the hand wheel towards you one full revolution. The needle will take the thread down where the hook will pick it up, wrap it around the bobbin, and bring up your lower thread. So one full revolution until your needle comes all the way to the top again. And there's your lower thread. Put the thread between the toes of the presser foot towards the back of the machine, and you are ready to sew. Put your thread under the, put your fabric under the presser foot and lower the presser foot using the lever on the back. And this is your stitch length lever over here. From the zero position going downwards, your stitches get longer and longer and longer and longer until at the bottom are your longest stitches. From the center position going upwards, your stitches get longer and longer and longer, but in reverse, so you can back tap. So we're going to set the stitch length at about 12 stitches per inch, and that's a pretty good average for regular thread and regular fabric. So give it a little gas, and here we go. We'll do a longer stitch length, and I always take the needle up out of the fabric before I change anything. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom to the longest stitch length, which I believe is 8 stitches per inch, but I'm not sure. Reverse, forward, reverse, forward, and just making a real nice, neat stitch, nicely balanced, no loopy stitches on the bottom. If you are getting loopy stitches on the bottom, chances first of all that you have missed something on your threading. Go over the threading, make sure that that you're between the discs of the tension assembly, that you've picked up your check spring, that you're in the little notch here at the top, and that you're threaded in the right direction from the left to the right, from the center of the machine towards the outside of the machine. If they're still loopy, you may want to add just a little more stitch length by turning it up just a smidge. When I restore a machine, I set it so that the average tension is at 3. So you can go up or down a little bit from there. If you get too far off, just go back to 3 and work from there until you get a nice looking balanced stitch on the bottom and the top. Tension, stitch length. Pressure on your sewing foot is here. That regulates how much pressure the foot puts on the fabric. And for some delicate fabrics, it matters because the feed dogs, teeth of the feed dogs will put marks in your fabric. So you want just enough tension, sewing foot pressure to move your fabric along with authority without putting too much pressure. This is your light switch here, and you want to oil your machine about every 14 hours of use. You'll see that there are little oil holes here and there, and your user manual will tell you it has an oiling guide. It will tell you where the oiling points are. once a year or every, I don't know, 48 continuous hours of sewing or cumulative hours of sewing. Uh, the gears, there's a set of gears and a set of gears here, and one set of gears inside the inspection plate on the back. Each of those get just a little dab of grease, not too much, or it'll just throw it all over and make a mess. At the 4 cardinal points of the gear, put just a little dab of grease at each of those points. That's sufficient. So that's it. This is your sewing machine. We'll get her packed up and shipped out to you. And if this is somebody else besides Linda who's come here to this video, we are Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and we restore sewing machines. We are on Stagecoach Road out in the Coast Range of Oregon, so we are stagecoachroadsewing.com. If you come out to our website, you'll see lots of other cool machines there that are ready for you to bring home to your own sewing room. And that's about it. StagecoachRoadsewing.com. We'll see you there. And Linda, thank you so much for your patronage. It's so much appreciated. And happy sewing.